time.
Yeah, I haven't seen you for a long time. It's really crazy how the time flies.
Yeah. What are you up to lately?
I I was not up to English learning or podcasting. That is for sure, because I got a bit overwhelmed by different things. So I stopped for some weeks, right? So that's why I am really glad that you asked me to make the interview so that I can continue with my journey and also with
that's
my
good.
one podcast.
Well, you have to say thanks to Yulia because she saw your podcast and we were having the celebration, the anniversary celebration and meeting. And she asked there, why don't you, you talked to Daniel and you mentioned that you would have an interview in 6 months and it's now 9 months. So you should have one. I say, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah. So yeah, it was because of her that I remember.
Yeah, that is really nice. And I remember that one thing that I asked you on our first interview was, where do you see the MAOFEN group in about 6 months? You said something like, the most important thing is that the members become family, right? Or the MAOFEN become family. And this was so heartwarming, right? Because I felt in general, when I was speaking to you, I felt that it's not just some words that are coming out, because it's really what you feel and how you are as a person, right? Because I have the impression that you don't seek big money, right? So for you, it's the people who are important. That is my opinion. And now I wanted to ask you, so what happened in the meantime? And did you reach the goal, or did it come true?
Yeah, well, I think it's actually an ongoing goal. It's always going to be there. Something that it's like, that it should be always in our horizon, never to lose that goal. I think, though, that we have become more of a family, especially for those who are more in the group and who are more committed and who are participating often. They feel that more, of course, than people who we haven't seen at all yet. But yes, there's that feeling of a family, kind of, of a place where you feel at home, where you feel coziness, you feel togetherness, where you can share not only, ideas and knowledge, but you share compassion and you share love and you share other things. So definitely, although the title is MAOFEN Masters of English, I feel that is gone beyond the learning, the English learning, okay? It's beyond that, it's much more than that. I think I've said this before, but I don't want to mean that, MAOFEN is the greatest thing of all. No, that's not the case. It's just that it has become a nice group, a nice bunch of people trying to help each other, trying to motivate each other, encourage each other. So yeah, definitely, I think it has become a family. We have had, though, a roller coaster, because I don't know if you remember that I said to you, it was not important for me to have a lot of members. And there was a moment when actually I started doing a bit of cleansing. So I started to call people, like once a week, I will create a post and I will tag people who didn't participate at all, trying to kind of like push them, a little bit, give them that extra boost of energy to participate in meetings. But there was a moment when I realized that in the end, you cannot push people to do things. If they are up to it, they will do it. And if they are not, they won't, even if you force them, So I changed the approach or the way I was viewing this. I think also because I was reading and watching Stephen Krashen and Benico Mason, who are really into language acquisition and reading. And they talk a lot about, first, you need to have lots of input that is comprehensible and fun and compelling. And then you don't force people to talk. Whenever they feel ready, they will talk. So with that in mind, I kind of like changed completely the dynamics. And I stopped asking people to come and join me for a meeting, for a conversation. And now we are on a different situation. I accepting people, we are adding people in the group. If they want to participate, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. Feel happy to join whenever you want. Feel happy to talk whenever you want.
That means that you don't kick members out of the group.
No. I used to kick members out of the group, but I don't anymore.
Yeah, but this was something that impressed me quite a bit, because instead of kicking them out because they were not at all participating and Yeah, as you mentioned before, you have made a post, you tagged them, and you gave them the opportunity to talk with you in like in a one-on-one session, or maybe with others.
Yes.
I mean, this is not something that is self-evident, right? Because you care even about your members which are not active, right? This is special to me. And in that context, I would like to know the person or the persons that you contacted, what did they say to you? Why didn't they participate? Or were there people who you could kind of convince to participate more often?
Well, I have to be honest, of all the people that I contacted, well, that I tagged, and I tagged lots of people, about in the space of 10 weeks, about 200, 300 people almost. I really got to talk to really few, okay? 10% of those, so about 20, 30 people. And generally speaking, the reason was that some of them didn't understand the group, okay? Didn't understand the group yet. They didn't know how we worked, okay? So it was a question that they didn't know how we work with the meetings, how the meetings worked. I mean, it's like they didn't know about the schedule. And I found that many times people are reluctant to ask questions, to really find out how something works. And I think probably this is kind of like a trend, you know? People are not, in that sense, they are not proactive, because I would expect people to just join the group and say, okay, I don't understand how this works, I'm going to ask. Okay, that's what I would expect. But then you did realize that's not true. You know, people sometimes don't ask questions. They feel probably shy or embarrassed, or they just don't want to ask. So by having the conversation, I didn't have to persuade them. I didn't, you know, it was very easy, because once we talked, they realized that it was easy. And once they realized it was easy, they just wanted to join the groups, and they wanted to join the meetings. So I didn't feel like having to say to them, oh, come on, you have to join us, because no, nothing at all. It was like, yes, we have got meetings and you can join whenever you want. Feel free to ask me any questions. Meetings are here. I'm going to show you, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, oh, great. Okay, so I want to, as soon as I can, I'm going to join the meetings. Perfect. Great. You know, so it was quite straightforward, really.
Yeah, okay, I see. And there was a time in which I think there was a problem in having enough hosts, right? In having enough people who are leading the Zoom meetings. And I don't know if you want to explain a little bit, or tell us if this has been resolved.
Well, first of all, and thank you for asking that question, but first of all, I want to again highlight that this is a collaborative project, okay? So this is not run by one person. It's actually run by, thanks to the help of many people. So hosts are an important part, because without hosts, we wouldn't have meetings. And without meetings, then there's not speaking practice moments for us. So there were times that it was difficult, because I probably was the only one, or I had Hamura or Jason, but then I started getting busy and it was difficult. So there were moments where Hamura, for example, helped a lot, because he would persuade people to help them, to help us. Just to say, okay, why don't you try once? And once people try hosting a meeting, usually they like it. So once they like it, they're hooked. And once they're hooked, you don't have to do anything really. They want to continue by themselves on their own. So there was a moment when it seemed to be hard, and it took a few weeks, probably a couple of months. But after that, it's been really great, and I'm really happy because sometimes I don't even have to ask someone to become a host, okay? They just send me a message and tell me, hey, Gabriel, I was thinking, could I be a host? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. I love that kind of self-offering without being asked, being proactive. I think it's great. And it kind of like comes to show the importance of what a group is about, which is helping each other, sharing some of your time to help others learn, or to help them have opportunities to practice, So like what you do with your podcast, an opportunity where you share your experience, where you share your learnings, your conversations with other people, and that helps other people. And that's, I think, it's kind of like great, and it's the greatest part of all this.
I totally agree with you. And I think that these hosts also can grow a lot. So they can learn a lot. And it would be definitely also really interesting to speak with some of the hosts and ask them how they could change over the time because of having led all these events. Because I think this is also huge from a learner's perspective to learn also.
I think you could actually do a round or just do one of your episodes just on interview hosts, because I think that I cannot talk for them, but I have talked to them about this, and there are great experiences here, great experiences of growth and learning. So yeah, definitely. We have got actually just a specific group for hosts, so I can drop there a message and tell them that you're interested in interviewing some of them, and I'm sure that some of them will be happy to share some time with you and talk about the experience, definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Gabriel.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, I noticed there are 515 members right now. And back in the day when I interviewed in October 2020, there was about 150 members.
Really? Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Because
I didn't know about the figures, about the quantity. We actually reached 500 in the past, but you remember that I did this cleansing period. So I think we were 500 and I removed people and we got down to 200 again, So now we are going up again. Yeah. And in fact, the last few weeks, we have grown a lot. Like every week we are having about 30, 40 people. I mean, for the size of our group, it's a lot. 30, 40 people per week. And in the last 2 days, I think we have already 20 people signing in.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know how but I think that's the good part, and that's what made me change a little bit the perspective. I've talked about this with my members, with the members of MAOFEN, about how many times I think about Mother Theresa of Calcutta. For me, she's like a role model to follow. To go after her. And sometimes I think, okay, what was her goal? What was her real goal? She just wanted to help people that were on the streets and give them food and a roof, a place to sleep, and clothe them. That's it. And she wasn't interested in fame or success. There was no bullshit about all this, There was no need for her to be successful. She wanted to be the best girl in the world. No, she just wanted to help these people. And that makes me think a lot about the way I'm handling the group or the way I'm working with the group. And I think, what should be my aim? What should be my goal? And sometimes I'm thinking about how to make people engage more in the group and how make people participate more in the group. But I think that now we have got a nice bunch of people who are already engaging in the group, sharing content, doing activities. And then what I think is okay, but how do I get more people to take advantage of this opportunity? For me, how do I make sure that people that are on the street get to have a roof to sleep under and to have clothes, So having that in mind, for me now it's interesting that more people get to know about us, not because not because of the spirit of MAOFEN, but because to have the opportunity of having conversations for free and sharing knowledge and being part of a collaborative project is a great experience. And so I feel like I don't want people to be missing out on that,
Yeah. I can give you some tips on that because, MAOFEN is a close group, right, on Facebook. So what you could do is to make a MAOFEN podcast, for example, because that way you can publish the content worldwide. You can reach new members and you can give insight to what you are doing. That could be something that is happening right now, like some projects or like a diary or whatever. But this is a great way to reach people. Or of course, if you had a website, maofen.com, for example, so you could reach way more people and get into the boat, right? And,
yes, I understand.
And for example, podcasting, if you don't want to spend money, you don't have to, because there are services out there which are absolutely free. For example, there is the service called Anchor, which is free and don't need to pay anything.
It's the one that Christian uses, doesn't he?
I'm not quite sure. Could be, because it is very well known, that service. Yeah. And Well, another thing I wanted to ask you, I mean, I don't know if it's a delicate question, right? But because
Tell me.
I mean, there are more than 500 members. So does it occur sometimes that one of the members wants to have a one-to-one session with you, like an English lesson?
With me
Yeah.
personally,
Yes.
it's happened to me, yeah, especially with some of the first members. Like they want to have sessions with me because they feel they're going to learn more from me. I've got a couple of them, and I was for a while I was having sessions with them. But in the end, I had to stop because I was busy with other things and I couldn't do that. And also because I want them to be more independent, So I noticed that once they start having sessions with me, kind of they got comfortable, I've got a session with Gabriel. So many times, not in all cases, but in some cases, they wouldn't do their tasks during the week, Like I would tell them, okay, you have to make sure you check this website and you look at this, try to work a little bit on that, and I'll see you next week. And when I saw them the week after, they hadn't done anything. So
Okay.
it was like, come on, I mean, the session that we are having is useless, unless you do something else with that, and yeah, I think that sometimes I don't know if it depends on the country or in the way you have been taught. I'm not sure about that, but I sense that some people have really ingrained in their psyche, in their mindset, that the teacher, if I have got a good teacher, I have got someone that I think is great or is good, I'm going to learn loads. And I'm not so sure about that, I mean, you can get motivated, you can get encouraged, you can get a boost of energy, that's true, but learn a lot or acquire a lot, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think there are people who rely too much on the teacher's side. They expect them to like transfer the knowledge into the other brain, but no, it's us, the learners, who have to do it finally, right? And yeah, another thing comes to mind because I remember on our first interview, you mentioned Christian Saunders, which quite struck a chord with you because you really like his philosophy that everyone should have the opportunity to learn English and for free, right? And and he is really special and he influenced you in a very positive way, right? And I think that you influence other people also in a very positive way. So sometimes it's like a ripple effect, kind of. Do you know what I mean? I mean, sometimes, or maybe also in my case, maybe I have made an episode which another guy from, I don't know, from Africa, from Brazil, from wherever, they pick it up and then they get motivated and they do something new because they got influenced or they got an idea, and it's really beautiful in my view to see that, right? To
Definitely
that we can have an impact, a positive impact on other people.
Definitely. And the nice thing about it, I don't know if you would agree with me on that, but is that it's something that is completely unplanned. Okay. I mean, you do this because you want to do it, because you're passionate about it, because you want to help. That's it. You don't know where it's going to impact. You don't know it. So you just do it. And then suddenly someone gets influenced by that in a positive way, and you would never think about it. I have had conversations with some of the members, and one thing that they said is that after being with MAOFEN for a while, I have noticed that I'm starting to be more generous to other people, not only in MAOFEN or online, but also outside in the real world. Like I'm being more compassionate, or I'm being more generous. And I felt so surprised, but like so overwhelmed with joy, because I thought like, wow, this is great. Like we are doing something, and it's something that we are doing for free. We want to help, and that's it. But you don't know where that is going to take the other people that are around you. So that's the greatness of giving and sharing,
Exactly.
It's just great by itself.
This is really great. Yeah, go on. Do you want to say? something more?
No, I was just saying that you mentioned about Christian Saunders, and I wanted to repeat that's true. You know, Christian has. I am a member of Canguro English, but I of course I don't use Canguro English a lot right now because I'm really busy with MAOFEN. But it's always there a reference, or Christian at least is a reference for me. You know, because
yes.
It was him after so many months and I would say even years trying to search that kind of like recipe that would make me unique in the industry of English teaching, you know. And suddenly I come across Christian is like, oh, wow, I didn't think about this. So definitely it was an eye-opener, and that's going to be always there as part of my life. Even if I would like to forget about Christian, which I don't, but if I would like to, it's not going to be possible because it's what created then the things that came afterwards, you know. So yeah, the ripple effect is powerful, simple, but powerful.
Definitely. I mean, I wasn't that active recently in the group, but nevertheless, I am still there, right? So it's not that, that I have forgotten about the group. I still think it's really a great group and all of that. So I'm just saying. Yeah. So it is actually, it was the MAOFEN's birthday, right? On the 1st of May, I think.
Yes. It was the best. I mean, to be truly honest, it's not the real birthday of MAOFEN as MAOFEN, you know, but it is the birthday of the group that started. At that moment, we didn't have a name. It was just a group that Jason Machado started because he created a post in Canguro English asking people if they wanted to join him for a chat. That was it. Chat about self-development and interesting topics going beyond the typical how are you and what's the weather like in your country, you know. And that was the day, the 1st of May, that everything started. So yeah, we celebrated it last 1st of May. Yeah, it was our first year. We're a baby. We're just a baby.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think there was a magazine published. I mean, a self-produced digital magazine made by a lot of the members. Maybe you could say something about that.
Yes, of course. The creator of that magazine, the person behind that idea was Omar, Mr. Ice Cream from Ecuador. And he was the one who actually suggested to do that. And he was the one that put everything together. And then he asked people personally to, can you send me a writing, sometimes talking about a group or sometimes talking about their country or any topic they wanted to talk. So it was kind of like trying to show not only the people experience in relation to the group, but also the writing skills if they wanted to share the writing skills. So yeah, it's a nice magazine to. I don't know if you have been able to. Have you seen the magazine? Have you?
Yeah, I've seen it, and I have read some pages, but not all of it. But I have seen it, and it's really beautiful to look at. Yes, with a lot of pictures and that.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. Actually, an idea came out from that, and is that a possibility of creating a magazine. Not for every month, but maybe, I don't know, like a bi-yearly magazine, maybe something like a summary of that semester. But I don't know if that's going to happen, but it will be an interesting thing, you know, so we'll see.
And that's what I love about MAOFEN, because you never know what comes next, right? Because there are no rules about that. I mean, you can be a host and you can cover a topic which you like and then make a Zoom session with the members. Or, for example, there is the Accoubtability readers group, which I took part. At least on the very first one, it was about the book called Miracle Morning. And this was really an amazing book. Well, not 100%, but the main idea about the book was really great. And I enjoyed the time with the members and discussing or writing about the book. This was or is like a book club. And I don't know if this is still going on. I think so, because on the chat, there is still members writing, but I don't know which book is now.
They're ready now. Yeah, I know that Hamura was the one that started that group and the club, but I think that he's quite busy right now, so I don't know if he's able to manage that. So really, that was like an off project. It's like one of these sequels or TV shows that they have got a run off and some characters go and do something else. So it's kind of like that. So Hamura created this, and it's kind of like a side project of MAOFEN. But that's the idea. And of course, it would be great if it continued and still grows and people read. But for me, the key there is that, and I wanted to highlight that in the latest meetings, this is a group made of learners. So there are learners trying to help other learners. And I want to emphasize that a lot, because sometimes I seem like the spokesperson of MAOFEN because I was from the beginning. But really, it's a group made of learners to help other learners. So that's the great thing about it. This is not a group of teachers, of native people trying to tell you what you need to study. No, not at all. It's just learners that they like a topic, that they want to share something they have learned or something they have found out, and they share it. That's it, helping each other. So I don't know what can be more collaborative than that. If you know anything better, tell me, but I think it's great. And for me, that was the important thing, that never this should be about a person being the one who takes the lead, who suggests projects. I don't know if you know about that now, but right now we have got several activities that are happening in the group. I suppose that you have seen some of those. We have got the 50 word. Yeah. So there's the 50 word, and that's something that Tatiana started, and Ludmila has been also participating on that. So they just create a post and they write 50 words short stories, okay? And that's great. And some other people then suddenly jump in and do the same. Sometimes I make a comment trying to respond to their post, and I try to use 50 words like a challenge, I'm going to use just 50 words. So it's a great activity, but it wasn't suggested by me. It was actually something that someone thought. Tatiana thought, I could do this. Perfect, go do it. So that's the nice thing about that.
That is really nice. And there is another project. I think it is called Chain Reaction. I'm not quite sure. It's about
Chain Reaction,
interviewing other members. Maybe you could say something about that.
Yeah, because of the anniversary, teacher, she thought about interviewing the hosts. So she interviewed some of the hosts, and she had one-on-one interviews. And she posted those before the anniversary, the days before that. And then talking, we thought that would be interesting to continue that with members, not only with hosts, but also with members, to talk about their experience in MAOFEN, what they like, or whatever, any other ideas. And she started that with with Mika Castillo. She started an activity, and while they were doing the activity, Mika didn't understand what A was trying to say, because A was planning to interview members, and Mika understood that she meant, I interview you, and then the next time you interview someone else, and the next time that person will interview someone else. And A was listening to her, and she thought, you didn't understand me, but that's a great idea. I like that. So suddenly that activity has started, Chain Reaction. So we already have had the interview of Millie, and Millie has now interviewed Willie from Indonesia. So that's a very interesting activity. So basically, that's what it says, a chain reaction.
Yeah.
So one person interviews one, this one interviews the next one. So I think it can be a very interesting activity to develop that kind of proactiveness that we want to see in the group,
Let me know if you need someone who can edit when everything is done, all the interviews. Maybe it would be nice to have like a summary to mix it together, all the interviews done, like one episode about the idea of chain reaction. So I would love to do that under the flag of myfluentpodcast, maybe.
Great. And yes.
Like make a summary, because it's something which I really love to listen to other learners, and then to edit and mix it together. But let me know if you are interested.
So, but that's the idea, and that's what I like that you're suggesting that now. Collaboration, So for example, my Fluent podcast, working together with MAOFEN. We also, Frank Carrizzo with his What You Say in English.
He's great.
Which is a great a great podcast too, and he has interviewed many of the members of the group. And then, of course, he has got his own podcast, and then he shares the content with us. I think that kind of synergy of exchanging experiences and whatever we do, that's what make the learning process a great experience. And I'm not talking again about a group. I'm not talking about MAOFEN or even about my Fluent podcast or what you say in English. It's just that, that kind of like a spiritual connection.
Yes.
Because for me, it's kind of almost a spiritual, like all of us are with the same aim, sharing our learnings, helping others. And that for me is what really makes this work,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
As long as we have that, we don't have to worry too much about it, really. So yeah, that's good.
And about the Zoom meetings, I have jotted down some topics which went on recently, just to show the listeners about the different topics. For example,
good.
There was online learning versus classroom learning. There was figures of speech, an overview. There was qualifications. There was another one, speaking skills in general. There was the topic self-awareness. There was the topic cultural stereotypes. And to me, this is just now a collection or that I came across, but there were many other topics. And what I love is, yes, they are all different, right? And you have some topics about learning English, but you also have these topics about self-awareness or recent topics which are going on. So this is really great. So you can learn, you can grow as a person also by discussing great topics. So this is really a big thing.
Yeah, the thing is that, as we were saying, the fact that you have got several hosts and each one being individuals, they have got different interests, different goals, different ideas, different passions, and that reflects on the meetings. So some people will put more of an emphasis on vocabulary. We have got meetings about connectors, and they do a series of meetings on connectors. I myself am interested in language acquisition. So many of my meetings go about acquiring and being independent learners. So I talk about, we talk about reading, and we work on storytelling, So, but that's the great thing, and that's one thing I love to say to my host or to our host, it's like, do whatever you want, prepare the activities that you want, do it the way you want. It's up to you. You are the host, you decide, you take the lead, and that creates a myriad of possibilities, like so many different options and so many different topics. So on a regular week, we have got about 21 meetings, more or less, okay? So that's on average 3 meetings per day. But that means that you have got such a range and a variety of topics to choose from. So even if you don't like the topic that is going to happen today, for example, which is quite unlikely, but if it happens, then you don't worry, because you know that next day there's going to be something that will be of your interest, So that's what I like. And then I think that, people don't worry too much about topics, they like the topics that are being presented, but they don't worry too much about topics because they know that the conversations that are going to take place usually are going to be very interesting conversations, So that's and then, you come often to meetings, and then you start getting to know people around, in a meeting, and you start building up the family. And one thing that I've noticed is that, sometimes many people, they don't have time to come to meetings, or they don't have good connection or whatever. But it's true that being in the meetings to start with is what then helps you to create partnerships. You start building relationships, and then it is easier for you to have one-on-one or one-to-one conversations, because you make a friend, and then you say to that friend, oh, let's meet some time to have a conversation, you and I, okay? And That happens because you start knowing people. Sometimes we are under the impression that we have to meet someone, it's like, I need someone to practice my speaking skills, and you want to find a partner. But to find a single partner, sometimes it's difficult, because first of all, you need to talk a little bit, you need to know each other, you need to be both on the same page, you need to be interested, and that takes a while. By being in these kind of meetings, in these group meetings, you get to do that while you are talking.
Yeah.
So you're already practicing, but you're already getting to know people. And then it's easier for you to say, oh, wow, I love, when I talk to Daniel, I love the conversations that I have. So I'm going to ask him if he's willing to have maybe one conversation once a week, and we talk about any topic, or we talk about these topics, okay? It is easier once you have met the people, but before it's a bit hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree, totally.
Yeah. So yeah, those are meetings, a variety of them. And just for those who are listening and who don't know MAOFEN or who haven't joined us, I always say this to people in the group, but it's not necessary that you start talking on the first day. You can come to our meetings, you can listen, you can just be a silent listener. It doesn't matter if you don't feel up to the task of talking. I don't want you to feel forced to talk. Okay, I want you to feel that you enjoy what you're listening to. And whenever you feel ready to talk, just do it. That's it. No pressure. Come and go whenever you want. Because I do believe that the more relaxed you feel about using the language, the easier it's going to be for you. If you are stressed, if you're coming to the meeting and you're thinking, oh, I have to talk, you're going to stress out so much that you're not going to be able to understand anything of what is being said, and you're not going to be able to talk. But if you're relaxed, if you know that it doesn't matter, that you can talk whenever you feel up to it, when you feel ready, there's kind of like, there's a burden on your shoulders that it's lifted up, and you forget about it. It's like, okay, now I can just enjoy. Okay, I can just have fun listening to these people, and whenever I am ready, I will talk. So yeah, I'm saying this to everyone, but please feel that freedom, of talking whenever you are ready.
And where exactly can we find Masters of English?
Okay, thank you for asking. Masters of English is on Facebook. Just search for MAOFEN, 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 Masters of English. And there we are a Facebook group. We also have got some messenger groups, and you can join us whenever you want. In the group, in order to access the Facebook group, as it's a private group, you have to request access and answer some simple questions. And then we will accept you, we will add you, and then you can start exploring the group. You will see our schedule as soon as you get in, and then you can see all our meetings, the times for that, and also the link to Zoom, because we always use the same link in Zoom. So you don't have to think too much about it. It's always the same. So that's it. You don't have to be asking, oh, where should I go? That's it. Always the same place. So... And yeah, basically that's what you need to do if you want to join us. And I would say just give us a try, okay? If you are not sure if we could be the right group for you, that's okay. Just give us a try, see if you like it. If you don't, it doesn't matter, But you should feel proud because at least you have tried, you have tried with us. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Let's go for another one, okay? But it's good that you look for groups and find something that it's useful to your needs. The only thing I can say to you all is that here, the aim is not only to offer you English learning experiences, it's also we're trying to offer you living experiences, okay? We are trying to offer you the opportunity to feel the joy. Okay, feel the joy of learning, feel the joy of sharing, feel the joy of being a human being, basically.
And I also highly recommend this Facebook group, Masters of English. It's really a great experience. Yeah. And
thank you.
Gabriel, thank you very much. And now it's not finished here, because I have some more questions about your language journey. Because the last time I remember you mentioned that you wanted to learn Filipino, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what happened with that project?
what happened with that project? The project went astray very quickly because I started, but I wasn't really constant. But then, I started to think about, I wanted to continue with another language, and I have started several languages, but haven't progressed. And one of them was Arabic. So I thought maybe it's the time for me to retake Arabic, and take advantage of it. So that's what I am now. I started not long ago, a month ago, mostly. And right now I'm on the refreshing process, let's say. I'm remembering things, and I'm trying to use the language acquisition or the input theory, okay? Kind of like a Krashen's idea of have lots of input, like reading and listening. So basically I'm doing some, let's say textbooks, but I'm just worried about the listening. So I'm reading the text, I'm listening, but that's the only thing I'm worried. I'm not trying to write myself. I'm not trying to pronounce yet. I'm pronouncing a little bit, but focusing only on listening and understanding. And I'm quite excited about that. I'm quite happy with that. So that's my project right now, taking up Arabic.
So
we'll see where it goes.
Are you listening to audiobooks, or what kind of resources do you listen to?
Right now, I'm using a textbook that is online. That you also have got the audio tracks. They are on SoundCloud, so you can do it for free. But also have got LingQ, the app by Steve Kaufman. There you can learn about 20 languages if you want to, and that one gives you small texts that are audio and with written format as well. And I also have got BeelinguaApp, which is another app that tells stories. And the stories are in the language that you want to learn, and then the mother tongue or the language that you want to use as the L1. In my case, I'm using English as the L1, and I'm trying to use those two. But there was a moment when I started that was quite okay, but then I found it to be a bit complex. I didn't understand anything, so I thought, okay, let's go back to the textbook. Let's go back to revision. Let's go back to refresh everything. And I go from time to time to these two apps, LingQ and BeelinguaApp. Try to listen and see if I understand a bit more. But the first thing I do is I don't feel stressed about not understanding, So when I don't understand something, I feel okay. It's like, okay, I'm not ready for that yet. So I'm going to go back to the basics, okay? So I continue listening to these units of the textbook. I don't think about grammar. Even when I look at vocabulary, I don't try to remember vocabulary. I'm not making the effort to remember vocabulary. It's just what I've listened, So if something comes up several times, in the end, I remember, And when I feel that I've done a bit, I go back to LingQ and BeelinguaApp and try to check if I understand a bit more. You know what I'm saying?
I see, yeah.
This is a bit, my approach right now is that one. Just listening, reading, and enjoy it, basically. I'm trying to enjoy it. And I'm really enjoying it. Right now, when I sit down for my Arabic session, I usually do 30 minutes in the mornings. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, cool.
And then at the weekends, I get probably an hour, sometimes an hour extra in the afternoon, and I try to do that too. And yeah, it's kind of like a nice boost. I feel pumped up when I finish. So that's good.
Is there a specific goal in mind, or is there a reason why exactly Arabic, or is it just for fun, just because you love the language?
It is for fun. It is for fun. But usually I've always been drawn to, I'm going to say exotic, but please understand, I don't say that Arabic is exotic. It's exotic for us as people who live in Europe, But I always liked languages that are not written like the Latin languages. So I was really passionate about Greek. When I studied at school, ancient Greek, I loved it because, writing something different was great. And Arabic is not only different, but also it's the other way around, It's, you have to do it from right to left. So I love that, I love that feeling of writing in a different way. I think that my brain sparks up. It's completely ignited when I'm using Arabic, So I really enjoy it when I'm doing it. And I find that it's also a language that is really artistic. Not only by the way it's written, but in general, it's really kind of like is really, it loves the poetry, it loves history and literature, and I like that as well about the language. So yeah, it's basically for fun, because I have fun, and also because it was something that I did in the past, and I wanted to retake and see what I go when I go from there. But as I say, I'm taking it really easy. I'm not planning to take any tests, any exams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing it because I want to have fun, So basically, that's it.
So it seems to me that, Gabriel, you are very dedicated to picking up languages, to teaching languages. So in a way, I think you are immersed. You are immersed, for example, into English a lot, right? So my question is, so your mother tongue is Spanish. Does it occur to you sometimes that you can't find the words in Spanish, so that they are maybe in your head? There is an English word, but you can't remember it when you are speaking in Spanish or something like that.
That happens. And sometimes my friends believe or think that I'm being posh, or I'm trying to be like, the clever one in the group. And it's not actually, I can't remember the word in Spanish, but I have got the word in English, So yeah, it happens often, But that's okay. You just get used to it and do it. But yeah. It happens.
This is really funny, yeah, but it's also beautiful. I think. And I remember the last time we spoke a little bit about your English journey, but we stopped right there. So where you were learning English in England, so you were in the ice cream shop, and it was really hard for you to use the language, right? So your approach was really practical. It was a practical approach, not theoretical approach. So I know that you are an interpreter, right? Or a translator.
Interpreter, yeah. Translator.
What was the story about that? I mean, when did you decide to become interpreter?
Well, actually, I came back. I was already back in Spain, and while I was here, I had to start working. I was teaching English, but also had to work as a waiter to get some extra money. So there was a moment when I decided I don't want to be a waiter for the rest of my life, and I would like to do something different. And I loved English. I really liked using the language, and I thought, well, I probably could consider doing some translation studies, and that's why I decided to do it. It wasn't something that I dreamt when I was a child. It just came up as I was thinking, well, I like the language. Sometimes people ask me to help them with translations, so why not give it a try, and see what happens. And I didn't have to study a whole degree because I already had studied one degree, Latin and Greek. So I only had to do the last 2-year course. So it was short. Probably that also helped me to take the decision. Otherwise, it would have been difficult. And yeah, basically that's part of what I do. That I teach. Well, I teach. I would say that I coach more nowadays, but I also do translations. I'm more into there are many sectors. You could do literature or more technical. I'm more into the fashion industry. I'm doing more manuals and fashion magazines, more like internal, for shops, for the staff. But that's the main work I do, and also I work with universities, reviewing their articles, and translating their articles into English, because sometimes they need to present the article to a magazine or to a journal somewhere, and I do those translations too. So that's what I pretty much do right now.
Okay, and when you were in university, so was it a difficult period? I mean, were the classes difficult to follow, or was it for you an easy task to pass these years of studying interpretation?
Well, when I at that time I was about 27, 28, so I was a grown up. I wasn't just a, brand new baby going out to university. So I didn't recall them to be difficult, extremely difficult. Some subjects were more, probably because they were more theoretical. We had linguistics, and some of the subjects, in some aspects, they were quite theoretical. And for me, they were a bit more difficult to, not so much to understand, but difficult to explain. That's one of the things that I found, that I could understand it, but when I had to explain it, it was more difficult for me. But generally speaking, it is not a difficult degree. It's not a complex degree. As long as you work at home and you do your translations and you practice your interpreting skills, it's something that you can do nicely. I mean, it's not extremely difficult.
So would you say that interpreting skills are easy to learn, right?
Well, no, not really. In fact, I don't do much interpreting. I do sometimes, but I don't do often. And it is difficult, because your brain, it's not like when you're talking, that when you're talking, sometimes you can think in Spanish or in my language, and then one and in English. And if I'm with friends, I have to do a close translation. That will be more like I'm mediating, just trying to explain something to in a different language. But when you are interpreting, that sometimes, you can do it consecutively or, right there as it's happening. Sometimes it's hard because your brain has to be thinking on both languages at the same time, So you are listening to something and immediately transferring that knowledge, So
I imagine that it must be a pain in the neck. Really difficult.
Yes. Yeah, it is hard. When I have done some interpreting sessions, at the end I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted at the end of the session because my brain is really tired. Maybe I've done, 2 hours or 3 hours, and I'm really tired. So.
And what is your take on these new AI translation services? For example, there is a service called DeepL, but actually it's similar like the Google Translation app. So, I mean, what is your take on that? In more years, the profession of translating and interpreter, is there still use of it, or will the AI program kind of eliminate the branch? I don't know if I am saying that correctly.
Yes, I understand. No, that's if the field of translating will disappear. I think that there are some things that cannot be translated automatically, and even if they are, they need a supervision. Is that, for example, if you think about, imagine a factory that makes cars. Once the factory has made everything with robots, the workers, the blue collar workers are not needed. The typical guy or girl that had just to tighten a bolt or do something that was physical, they are not needed any longer. But you need engineers, because they need to check that everything is correct, and you need an audit to check that the work is being done correctly, and the engineer to check that the machine is working properly. In this case, in the case of translation, you will still need someone to do a revision of that, to check that everything is correct. I've used DeepL, and I think it's a really good tool, Some people probably disagree, but I have used it many times. And the good thing about DeepL is that actually you can put yourself, the mouse before the word, and it suggests other possibilities, so it's great for synonyms and collocations. So it can be a really good tool, but still it needs the last check from a human, let's say. And then if you're moving in the world of literature, it's not possible, because literature is, even when you are translating literature, you are recreating the text, so you are not just translating word by word, you are sending the meaning as well. You are inferring the meaning and sending it. And sometimes a joke that cannot be translated into your language, you have to create a different joke, So there are some aspects of translation that I don't think will be ever, I don't know, maybe in the future, but with artificial intelligence, it's still a bit difficult. But the more technical ones, or the more repetitive ones, like the ones I do, for example, for sure, you can do them with artificial intelligence. And except for minor mistakes, I think it would be easily understood, So
Okay. Thank you for your opinion about that. I think that is a really interesting field or topic, right? About AI in the
AI.
future. The time went by really quickly.
Time is up.
And I thank you very much. This was really, really a great conversation. I loved it. It's as if I knew you for longer time, right? Because I mean, we were in contact, we wrote to each other, but always when I am speaking to you, for me it's like it's a friend, like a friend who I know, or who I know at least partly, right? So I mean this in a positive way. But
thank you.
I'm having a hard time to explain myself in English, so
No, you're doing perfectly. No, but I think that the feeling is mutual. Yeah, definitely. So it's great to talk to you. And as you said, the time flies when I'm talking to you. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to do this interview. I loved participating.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. I see you around, or see you soon. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. You take care, okay? And stay safe and healthy.
Bye, Gabriel.
Bye-bye, Danny. Take care. Bye-bye.